Hey guys, Scott here again with a new beer dissection video for you today. Staying in Germany, what I mean by staying in Germany, I just recently put up an Oktoberfest video. Check that out under What is Style. I think it's also under beer dissection possibly too, because I did a video on Hofbrauhaus Oktoberfest beer, so check that out. What I have today is a classic from Germany, from Spaten Brewery. Okay, Optimator. Okay, it is a double Doppelbock. Now, several months ago, and I'll try to remember to tag it at the end of this video. That if some of you are beer geeks, you like to look a little bit, delve a little deeper into the history. I go into the entire history of Doppelbock. It's about a 15-minute, 17-minute video if you're interested in that type of stuff. Some of you are not, but I'm going to address a few things from that video, but I won't dive into it as deep. So remember, Doppelbock, Bock means goat, Doppel means double, so it means double goat. And in that video, I talk about that the term Bock a lot of times came from a derivative of people from Einbeck in northern Germany. They had developed Bock beer, and they used the name Einbach, and it sounded like Bock, and that's where Bock came from. But Bock means goat. That's why when you see a lot of Bock beers, especially Doppelbock beers, whether it's Troganator, Maximator, Optimator, and I'm going to talk about that naming rights again here in a second, but you'll see goats on the actual bottle. And I go in a lot deeper with that. So remember, the St. Paula monastery was outside of Munich. They were kind of invited to come down, and they developed a beer called Salvator. Looks like Salvatore, and it was a Doppelbock. It was, in Germany, the Bock beers have to be a certain percentage of alcohol as well as a little higher. Now, at that time, there was no rules written that way, but they developed this Doppelbock beer, especially during the Lent months, and it was called liquid bread. So they developed the Salvator beer, which was really the original Doppelbock. And I go into that history in a lot more detail, which, again, I'll try to tag it at the end, but it's definitely under my What is Styles. Just scroll down till you see Doppelbock. I think I do even a beer dissection of Troganator. Now remember, with Salvator in the 18th century, they did get the naming rights to that. So, Polaner Brewery had that, and other beers could not use that suffix ATAR. Or I should say, I'm sorry, they couldn't use the term Salvator for the beer, but they could use the term ATAR at the end. That's why you'll see like Augustiner's Maximator, here Spaten's Optimator. The exception is Weihenstephaner has Corbinian, which is a Doppelbock. Now why it's called Corbinian, I don't know. In the United States, Trogs has Troganator. So again, they couldn't use Salvator. That was exclusively for Polaner Brewery, from the St. Paula monks and things like that. So sorry about misspeaking there for a second. The other ones that are popular out there is, God, I'm drawing a blank on it. On the Celebrator, Iyengar's Celebrator. So you get the idea. The ATAR suffix, if you see that, is typically Bock beer. This beer is coming in a little over 7%, usually I think 7.6%. So Doppelbocks need to be in that mid to 7% range, and regular Bock beer is usually around 6%. All right, so again, dive into that in more. If you're a beer geek like myself, dive into that video a little bit deeper, and I go into a lot more history about it. Well, not that much more history, but just a little bit more history. I'm probably a little more thorough. I think I have some notes next to it. So again, Bock beer is, kind of a beer that derived from Germany. A lot of breweries out here will make it also. This is going to be, remember, a malt-forward beer. Hops are not going to be that important to it. There will be some bitterness to try to balance it a little bit, but this was definitely going to be more of a malt-forward beer. All right, so let's crack this bad boy open, which I kind of did as I was finishing up talking to you. I kind of just have my basic, tulip glass here, and that is it. So Spaten's Optimator. So just from the name of it, it's a Bock beer or Doppelbock beer, double goat. Okay, so let's go through a few things with this. Definitely got this nice light tan, light brown head, pretty dense, foam, very nice looking. You kind of got that nice like copper color, pretty clear, and that's the way it should be. I think the IBU units typically in the style 16 to 26, give or take, but I am a little rusty on my numbers. Very clear, pretty standard for Doppelbock style. All right, so if you've had it before, you can understand what you're looking for. Let's take a sniff of the aroma. Yeah, so you're gonna get that Maillard reaction. I interpret Maillard kind of like almost like if you had a little bit of like a burnt sugar, lightly burnt sugar, so, from the caramelization. They do decoction mashing when they make this beer, especially in Germany. When they're doing the mash, they pull some of the mash material out with the grains. They heat it up and then throw it back into the mash. Because back then, years, a couple hundred years ago, a few hundred years ago, they didn't have the kettles that we had. Everything was fire driven. So they tried to, get the heat up on the mash a lot quicker. They would do decoction. Well, that also caramelized some sugars and things like that. And it kind of gives you that, even to this current day, that kind of deep, it's almost like a light caramel, but I can almost get like even like a burnt kind of caramel, burnt sugar, or a burnt brown sugar note on there. You're also getting, kind of dark fruit like plums or rum-soaked plums, or even like a fermented raisin, if it was such a thing. But the sugars on there, you're not getting much hops. Like, they may use, again, they're using strictly hops here for bittering to balance a little bit of the sweetness, but you're not going to get that herbal, spicy, floral aroma. This is definitely a malt forward beer. Hops don't mean too much in this style of beer. Okay, but so if anything, maybe get a slight glimmer of an herbal character, but when you're smelling it, it should kind of give you the sense of maybe a little bit of a caramel, burnt sugar, Maillard, dark fruit type of aromas. That's standard, okay? So anyway, guys, let's take a look at it again. I'm sure I'll have pictures popping over my shoulder. All right, cheers, or Prost. Prosit. Nice medium carbonation, which is good. It actually drinks a little bit drier, crisper than a 7.6% malt forward beer. It kind of gives you that, between the carbonic bite, so basically what I'm trying to say is the attenuation, meaning the yeast kind of eat through a lot more of the sugars, even though it is at 7.6% alcohol. But you do get that Maillard reaction on the palate. A little of that caramel, plum, almost like dark bread, like pumpernickel bread, kind of roast, but kind of sweet, dark toast, things like that. You just kind of get that Maillard, burnt carbohydrate, sugar kind of taste to it. And I don't want to say burnt that it's a bad thing, but it's definitely malt driven but very pleasant. Okay. Again, hops, bitterness, it's kind of low, moderate best. I actually don't really get anything. Like I said, this is not, a bitter beer. This is definitely not an IPA, definitely not a double IPA. So the bitterness is kind of that low. I could argue someone would say moderate, but you're definitely not getting anything there. I really get maybe a slight tinge of alcoholic warmth because it is around 7.6. As I'm sitting there, I can kind of feel it kind of hit me a little bit, but very good. I mean, this is one of the better ones. I mean, I like, Celebrator 2, Maximator. I like any of them that are German. Even Trogs Troganator, which is a brewery, I believe they're in, I don't want to make a mistake. They may be in Colorado but the video that I am going to try to bookend at the end of this video with some editing, that will tag that video for those of you that really crave that type of history. I go into a little bit deeper, and I do a beer dissection of Troganator. All right. This is always one of my favorites. So again, if you're looking for a malt forward beer, Doppelbock is for you. About 7.6% alcohol here for Spaten Optimator. Don't expect much hops here on the aroma or the flavor. It is pretty crisp. It's going to have, though, that, that burnt sugar, Maillard reaction, dark fruit. Think of dark fruit, plum, fig, roasted. Sugars are roasted. Those are the kind of flavors you're going to get on there. But I almost, like I said in the beginning of the video, it's almost like if you took some brown sugar and just burnt it a little bit before it really kind of got really caramelized, and you kind of get that on your taste buds. Very good, though. Maybe someday I'll do a side-by-side with a few of the German varieties. Like I said, Einger's Celebrator, which I drew a blank in the beginning, Spaten's Optimator, Augustiner's Maximator. Again, Weihenstephaner, they don't use an "ater" suffix. That's the Corbinian is their Doppelbock. So if you see beers with the ATAR, because again, they try to be a little, kitschy with those ATARs with a lot of the breweries, so you're drinking a Doppelbock. If you're at your local craft brewery, that's most likely their version of Doppelbock. Okay. So anyway, guys, I didn't do my grade. I mean, I can't give this less than an A. I'll just say A because I think Corbinian's like an A+, and there's a few other German examples. Even Troegenator's sitting around A, level beer. And but overall drinkability, I'll even just go higher. It was kind of A+. I really enjoy this. I'm filming this in the summer. I usually like to drink these more in the fall, winter time. Just it has a little bit more of a richer flavor, a little higher alcohol, so you have to be a little careful with this. You do get some of that warming as you consume it, but really I would try that out. So anyway, guys, a little bit about kind of a shorter version of what is style Spaten Optimator, which is a Doppelbock. Take a look at that video that I do, what is video for Doppelbock. But remember, Bock meaning goat, double goat. You'll see goats on the label. This one probably has it. I'm not going to spend the time searching for it, but even Einger's Celebrator has these little goat emblems that are wrapped around the neck of the bottle. So if you see that, you're looking at a Doppelbock. Again, with the goat theme to it from the Einbeck region. Started with Polaner Brewery, which started with Salvator, or looks like Salvator. Okay, but again, they kind of trademarked the note, and it was made during Lent for the monks, and they called it liquid bread. So again, just another little highlight there. So anyway, guys, malty beer. This is not your IPA. I definitely would try it out. Caramel, dark fruit flavors, Maillard reaction, roast. I should take that back. There's no roast. You shouldn't be expecting any really like roasty coffee flavors with this. Okay. When I said roast, it's kind of like the sugar kind of burnt type of thing, but it's not going to be roasty like a stout or a porter. Okay, that's not for the style. Okay, so you don't want espresso. You may get a little bit of chocolate in there, but you're not going to get espresso or deep roasted malts like you do with your porters or stouts with this. Even though it is a pretty dark beer, but it is kind of that, copper to kind of light brown color. All right, so. Sorry about a couple. I'm glad I caught that. I didn't want you guys to be thinking or expecting you're going to be getting porter or stout flavors here. All right, guys. So today's beer dissection was Spaten's Optimator. Again, a little short version of a what is style, a refresher for the style Doppelbock. Hopefully found that informative. Until the next beer dissection video, beer video in general. Have a great day. Take care.